First of all, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming today. Today's open house is kind of a special one because we're honoring Mrs. Ruth Ashley, who's made quite an impression on the lives of many of the people here today, and certainly many of the students who went through Olive Rames High School from the mid-1950s up to about 1969. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm Ken Michael. I'm the president of the Historical Society. And first thing I'd like to do is thank all of our volunteers who are here today. I'll start with my favorite volunteer, Mr. Ron Wood, Mr. Paul Berry, Nancy DeLuca, oh, Nancy Mathers back there, Steve Anderson. Who am I missing? Anybody I missed? Raise your hand. Oh, sitting down here. How you hiding?
Hands in the low seat.
Hands in the low seat. And
Smart girl.
Who's our staff writer, and that one I didn't miss. I knew that. And Ginny Murray, who's right over here on my right-hand side, ready to pounce when I make a mistake. So, you know, I have a kind of an interesting and personal experience with regard to Mrs. Ashley. When I first moved here in 1960, I moved from Boston, and I lived in a neighborhood that was probably 50% African American, and every other nationality, race, creed, and color that you can imagine. When I first came to Easton, and I looked around, my first reaction was, this is awfully white. And it wasn't until I actually started school, my freshman year at the high school, that I saw Mrs. Ashley, a woman of color, and Dolores Smith, who was a history teacher, also a woman of color, both of whom were magnificent and exemplary people and great teachers. I was not fortunate enough to have any kind of musical talent, so I was not allowed anywhere near the glee club or the choir or the band. But I did experience in the late 1990s at the Unity Church, the bell choir, which Mrs. Ashley and her husband Louis were very, very involved in. And it was magnificent. So if you've ever had the opportunity to see it, it was from St. Mark's Congregational Church in Boston. If you haven't seen it, you've missed a great thing. And if you ever have the chance to see it, because I think it's still operational, you should do that. You have a program here today, and I think that program says far more than I could say about the profound effect that Mrs. Ashley had on all of her students and the people surrounding her, the people with whom she was friendly. I know she and her husband Louis were friends with the Coe family, for example. Because in addition to being magnificently talented as a teacher, singer, musician, etc., she was a great tennis player and engaged in playing tennis until the latter years of her life. And her husband was also a great tennis player, so some of the Coes, I reckon, got to play tennis with the Ashleys. And I just want to say, I think, maybe speaking for everybody in the room who was able to experience and have a relationship with Mrs. Ashley, I think all of us have benefited profoundly, as I said, from that. With that, I'm going to turn the program over to John Coe, who just, as a matter of giving credit, today's open house was John's idea. So I think he deserves a round of applause for that.
Hey, Johnny.
Thank you and welcome to the Easton Historical Society. I think this is a really a great day to honor Ruth Ashley. I know that she had a tribute when she retired in '69. I think we have that brochure somewhere here, and I could not find it, where the teachers honored her, and I think the local community at that time. She didn't retire in '69.
69, yeah.
And, but, you know, the more I looked into it, and I saw a great, and it's in your booklet, this is probably her graduation picture at the time, Lowell State. And just a very beautiful lady. This happens to be March Women's National Month. I don't know if you knew that, and I think it's very apropos. Let me just read you a couple things here, because I was intrigued by her bio, especially after she left Oliver Ames. And, you know, she was in there. It shows that she went to Milton High School. As she says in the brochure, she was from a very diverse neighborhood, probably like yours, and Italians, Irish, and African Americans. And yet she was the only woman of color in her graduating class in Milton High School, and just kind of amazing that she had a lot, and she says it was a really nice environment back then. So let me just read this really briefly. In this booklet, we had asked, I thought it'd be really cool to reach out to social media friends of Easton Historical Society. We put on a lot of groups in Easton to share. And for those that had a memory of Mrs. Ashley, and I always remember it's not Ruth, Mrs. Ashley, a lot of respect for her. To give a great memory, feed it back via Facebook posts, Twitter. We had it in a lot of groups. And then we had the email version that came in, and Steve Anderson does a great job collecting all of those things and compiling them. We had some fabulous ones, and I try to put everything in here. And a couple in particular I'll kind of focus you to look at. So let me just go with this briefly. Ruth Patricia Coleman Ashley was born to a music-loving parents, and described her childhood neighborhood as a very comfortable neighborhood with relatives all around. Besides the other black children in the neighborhood, we had many Italians and Irish also in this neighborhood. Despite living in a diverse area, in 1946, Ruth was the only black member of the graduating class at Milton High School. Music was one of her main exploits since childhood, being taught piano and voice at an early age by both her mother and private tutors. Ashley, a soprano, enrolled in the music education program at Lowell State College in 1948, where she was one of the class of 12 first-year students in the department. She was involved in student government throughout her education at Lowell State, serving as class secretary all 4 years. She also sang in various musical groups. After graduating from Lowell State in 1952, she married Louis Evans Ashley in 1953. Now she was beginning as an educator at the Easton Public Schools in Easton, Mass, for 17 years, beginning the year of her marriage. Boy, they married and coming to Easton. Wow, that was pretty good. Ashley started teaching music education at Lowell State in '69 after her retirement, rising to the position of chairperson of the Department of Music Education and the by then merged UMass Lowell, or University of Lowell, in 1987. She taught several courses throughout her career, including voice, music methods, chorus, and music education. Outside of the University of Lowell, Ashley continued professional vocal performances, and she was directing the handbell choir at St. Mark's Congregational Church in Roxbury. She was also involved in various music education professional organizations, and she was also the chairman of the National Constitutional Committee. Mrs. Ashley, and I remember this part vividly, and Rick will talk about her more in depth, was an avid tennis player. She and her husband Lou, and enjoyed attending tournaments throughout the United States and Europe. So that is, I didn't realize, I just remember her at Easton vividly, because when she came, she didn't just come to Oliver Ames. She came to Easton Public Schools. She reached down to the schools, I remember her in grammar school, right up here. And she came down and taught music, and she'd bring kids out of the class, and he would teach them music in front of the piano, see who was any good in singing. I was horrible. She told me so too. I was singing and said, "Nah, you got to work on it." You know, she gave me one of those. So no talent in singing, and but she was very professional. I mean, she just would teach, and somebody will remember this. The little round, little harmonica. What do you call it? Yeah. In the key of C, you know, and she would do that all the time. I said, "That's a really cool thing. We should get one of those for here at the Historical Society."
Yeah.
But a lot. She went around to the schools. It wasn't just here at Oliver Ames. But the first piece I saw of a picture and a reference was a 1956 yearbook, which we have a collection behind here, by the way. She finally is in with all the educators. In the administration and the teachers of Oliver Ames. And then you see here in the glee clubs. We have a lot of pictures of glee clubs. How many were in a glee club at Oliver Ames? Wow. You in glee club too? Gee, you gotta follow. Your brothers told you to get in there, right? This is Bill Clay, my
He did the right thing.
classmate. But I remember that. I remember the very first play that I went to. I was 8 years old, and it was at Oliver Ames. My brother happened to be in it. Ruth already told him he couldn't sing, so don't sing. All right. But he played a part. He played a big part, but it was in the Mikado. Those in the class of 60, I think you were a junior then. I know you were in the class of 60. And I remember Ivan Rosenberg. He was he's so tall anyway. But I remember that play, and that was awesome. Rick will tell you a little story about that. So I want you to take a look at some of these comments through the book. And I'm going to have some speakers up here, and I'll talk about it, but I'd rather hear you, because you don't want to hear me too much longer. Right, Ken?
That's right.
All right. So, and by the way, we're going to have some speakers talking about their memories, but if you have a memory, you don't want to come up here, you can just, hey, I'd like to say something. Please, we want you to do it. You are going to be taped by Tyler Merritt at ECAT. Okay, give Tyler a big round of applause. They're always and by the way, they're always here on our open houses, and it goes on ECAT, but it's also on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, Easton Historical Society, you'll see every single open house we have filmed here. And so it's a great way to catch up if you could not attend in person. So, the first, I'm going to have Jenny Moore Murray come up and give some great memories. Come on up, Jenny.
Okay. I'm known by many names. I'm Ginny Moore Crookshank Murray, and
I missed one again, Annie.
I've been an Easton Townie for, I think I was 2 years old. I won't say how many years. 2 years. Before I start, though, I wanted to let you all know that Priscilla Almquist Olson recorded at ECAT, Joanne England and I doing a segment on growing up in Easton in the 50s and 60s. So that should be coming out soon, right, Priscilla?
Yes.
So we're looking forward to it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Well, I was in Glee Club all 4 years of high school and the secretary as a senior. So I have tons of memories, but most of all, I can't remember the third of the four operettas we did. We did the HMS Pinafore, the Pirates of Penzance, My Square Laddie, and I can't remember the fourth one, and I don't know, I'll have to do some research. Maybe we skipped that one, I don't even remember. So maybe somebody can help. But My Square Laddie was a takeoff on My Fair Lady. Because of the copyright laws, My Fair Lady was on Broadway then, they couldn't do My Fair Lady. So they adapted it for the Oliver Ames Glee Club, and they called it My Square Laddie. So instead of Henry Higgins, it was Willie Wiggins. So, and Ken Burke was one of the people. He did the directing of the play part of it, and Ruth Ashley did the musical part of it. So at one point I had to sing Just You Wait, Willie Wiggins, because I was angry at him for something. I was Liza Doolittle. I don't know what I was angry about, but he was trying to teach me proper English, I think, at the time. So Ken Burke came along and he critiqued my performance at rehearsal, and he said, no, you're angry, you've got to fold your arms, and he folded his arms like a guy would fold his arms. And I tried to do it, and it was like, he was doing it like up here, and I was like trying to do it, it wasn't working, and because I was folding it like here. And bless her heart, Ruth Ashley came along and said, Mr. Burke, she's a girl. I think she folds her arms a little differently from women. and he went, oh. So, but I think it was this. I don't know, but it was just, she saved me. She saved me, and that was a fun performance. So interestingly, $200 from the performance of My Square Laddie was donated to the Citizen Scholarship Fund, which then made the Glee Club a member of the board of directors. That's all it took in those days. You donate some money and you're on the board of directors, you know? I don't know, it was kind of fun. I didn't know that till I kind of re-looked at my info. Most of the years I was in Glee Club, we went to the Southeast District concerts and the All District. I did not get selected for All State, much to my chagrin, but I did not. But we went and we did a lot of the rehearsals in town, and then some of you remember we'd get together in some other town. I went to New Bedford once, and we had towns from all over Southeast Massachusetts get together and put on a concert. Well, we had rehearsed a lot in town. We knew all the songs, but we assumed we were going to get to hold our music and read from it. So we got down to the rehearsals in New Bedford, and they said, well, you know, you're not using your music for this. And it's like, okay. So I remember writing the words to the Latin, O Manu Mysterium, on my hand. And I remember as we were singing, I was like, O Manu Mysterium. So that was a kind of a surprise to all of us. But someone in one of the towns had decided that we shouldn't be holding music. That was funny for us. In May of '63, our Glee Club got an honorable mention at the conference, so that was exciting. And then senior year, you know how sometimes music teachers and art teachers, other teachers feel like they're not busy enough on the off times. So Mrs. Ashley had to teach a class. So she chose 5 of us, some juniors and some seniors, and she taught a class on musicianship. And Stephen Feiner was in it, and you know, probably Charlotte DeWitt, lots of Easton kids. And we had to come up with a week-long class. I mean, it was a nice way to teach. She made us each responsible for teaching a week of the class. So we got to pick our favorite classical composer. And I remember choosing Russian composers because I loved Rachmaninoff and Tchaikovsky and all of those. And I taught about the Russian 5. But beyond that, she also taught us how to write music. Because at one time I really thought I would do more with music and maybe write some songs and sell them and do all that. But she actually taught us the chords and how to write the music. And we were doing some pretty impressive things. One of the, what else? So I think that was it for musicianship class, but it was held in the cafeteria, and I'm sure that, I think it was, actually I'm not sure, I think it might have been the only year that she had to teach it, but maybe someone can correct me. We met her husband, Ruth Ashley, and he was a delight. I remember him coming to the school, and I also remember that Mrs. Ashley and Mr. Ashley were friends of Allison Getchell, and I don't remember if I met him at her house or not, but I didn't know at the time that he was a scientist, and I know he died of cancer, and I didn't know at the time until later that he was one of the observers in the Southwest when they were doing the atomic bomb practices, and they believe the scientists were a little too close to the radiation when they were doing them. I don't think they realized how far back they had to be from it. So when he got cancer, they often wondered if it was from that experience. It could very well have been, I'm not sure, but that was what we heard at the time. I saw her 2 times after graduation. Once when I was playing Maria at the Immaculate Conception Church in The Sound of Music, and she came up to me after the performance and thought my voice had matured. I didn't know what that meant. but I guess it sounded better than in high school. And the last time was at a reunion when she showed up and saw some of us, and it was great. But I wanted to read a couple of things she wrote in her note to me in my yearbook. She said, thanks, she wrote other things, but she said, thanks for all the many extras that go along with the job of secretary. Because to this day, I don't know what my job entitled, but she thought it was a lot. And helping me with all the things I forget. She never forgot anything. She was being very, very kind. She was a wonderful mentor to the youth of Easton and had such a huge influence on so many young people. I'll always be grateful to her for exposing me to the world and not just music. Thank you.
Fabulous. Okay. Now I know we have Rick in line, and let's see if Phyllis is here. Mike wants to- Rick Coe has a few things to say. I know Ricky, he was a teaching professional at the USTA, and he taught a lot of celebrities. He did. I actually got the really, it was really fun one day. He said, "John, you want to come up?" He was at the Randolph Indoor Tennis Club, and he said, "Johnny, you want to meet Reggie Smith of the Red Sox?" I go, yeah. Well, I'm teaching him tennis right now. But he also taught Sam Jones, the Celtic, but that was in the backyard when I lived at the park. So without further ado, Rick Coe, come on up.
All right.
One thing I have to say about Ruth Ashley, she was funny. I mean, she had so much humor. She could make anything. And one of the things, I did not have a voice. I loved the Glee Club just because she was there. And she wanted something to do, and I was always like the backstage guy to help her out and doing this and doing that. But my mother asked her one time, after I'd been in Glee Club, I was in the Mikado, and I helped get the backdrop for the Mikado. We had to go into Boston to the Wilbur Theater and actually got the exact Mikado backdrop, which was very expensive if you're going to really do it. But we got it and we hung it for the Mikado, and it was great. But she would always put me between two good singers.
She's a smart lady.
My mother asked her one time, because she knew I didn't have a voice, and Ruth Ashley, she said, "You know, your son will be good at military cadence." I was. After 24 years in the Army, I did military cadence very well, so she knew what she was talking about. But there's one thing I have to say about Ruth Ashley, and I'm probably the only one, or there could be another person, to know her nickname. I know her nickname, and it had to do with tennis. And those who have played tennis will understand this. Her nickname was Geronimo. And I said, how did you learn that? Well, Sam Jones would come over to the park and play tennis. Louis Ashley, Ruth Ashley there, we used to play all the time. And all of a sudden he yelled out Geronimo. And Ruth Ashley went like this. And I'm asking, what was she doing that for? Well, Sam Jones told me, he said, that's her nickname. Because in competitive tennis, in black tennis, she was known as Geronimo. What was that about? When the ball would be lobbed over the net, and you go back, and you take your racket and smash it down. Well, normally, a good tennis player would just avoid the other person on the other side of the net. Not Ruth. She would aim at you. Your racket would be used as a defensive weapon. But that was her nickname. And that's how they did 4 years in a row in black mixed doubles. And that was her nickname. And she told me, keep it quiet. Penalty of whatever, do not, otherwise I'll aim at you. But she was great. She came over to the park all the time, and that's how I got to know her. Because when you get into a tennis court, you start hitting the ball back and forth, you start a conversation, and it led to my teaching ability when I became a pro. She pinned this on me, that's the reason I wore it. And when I became a member of the United States Professional Tennis Association, through Longwood Cricket Club, because she knew all the players there too. And I told her one time, when I was the head pro at Suburban Indoor Tennis Club in Randolph, we used to have the women's tennis. Billie Jean King and all their friends and everything else used to come there. And I had Ruth Ashley come and meet Billie Jean. And I said, I beat Billie Jean King. She said, you did? I said, yes, in bridge. All those tennis players were playing bridge all the time. And Ruth Ashley knew how to play bridge. She got into the thing with all the other girls and everything else. But it was really fun. And as I said before, her humor is just unbelievable. Her husband, Louis Ashley, that's a strange coincidence what happened. I was a teaching pro, indoors, it was great, that's during the winter. Outdoors, I'd go to a country club to teach. I taught at Pine Brook Country Club in Weston. One of the people that was one of my students was Dr. Martin Annis, who was the head of American Science and Engineering in Cambridge. And I didn't know this, but I'm teaching him, and he said, do you want a job during the winter? I could use somebody, and I could use you to help me, because I love tennis. And he convinced me to come on with American Science and Engineering. They were starting a new security type of x-ray that he needed help with, and he liked me. In the building of American Science and Engineering at Port Washington, they started putting up murals on the wall. And my desk was in this corner, and I'm looking at it as they're putting this mural up. Mural is coming up. There's Louis Ashley and a group of scientists. I didn't realize he was a physicist. He worked for American Science and Engineering. And Dr. Martin Annis knew him very well. Little did we both know, you've got to be kidding. You knew him? Well, he was on the Johnson Island project where they, experimented with the A-bomb. And as you said, when he was exposed to radiation, a lot of them were there. But it was one of those things. But it was just a strange coincidence with the tennis and getting back to Louis Ashley. And they followed me down. When I came pro down the Mid-Cape Tennis Club, there are a lot of people down there that I do, and they came down, we rallied back and forth and everything else. But tennis was just our medium. We knew how to do it, it was fun. And there are a lot of things that her smile did. She touched a lot of people. And she touched me and my family. So, any questions you have?
Thank you so much, Rick. All right, I'm actually looking for one other speaker. Okay, so you've got a nice pamphlet, I think, to take with you when you leave. But are there any? You don't have to come up here, but is there any memories that you'd like to or would like to speak up here? Anybody like to speak about? Yeah. Come on.
My father was music director in the Easton schools for many years, and so when Ruth was hired, he took great interest in her and tried to help her find a house to live in Easton. And to his dismay and horror, he found that there was redlining in the town of Easton, and she and her husband were not able to buy a house in the town of Easton. So it's something to think about.
You know, I had heard that story too. Somebody didn't want to make a comment, but those were the times, I guess. It's horrible. Red Line, I heard there was a petition. That's basically what you're saying. There was a petition in one neighborhood that she grew up in lived in West Bridgewater. She wanted to get a house in Easton. So that's you know, being transparent in Easton, that's what it was. You know, it was in some areas, I guess. So any other comments? Yeah, Ken.
As I said earlier, I had no musical or vocal talents. But at one point I did talk to Mrs. Ashley about joining the glee club or the choir. And she very perceptively and very diplomatically said, I'm not sure that your interests are quite musical. Why would that be? She said, well, there are only 3 other male members of the choir and the glee club. And there's a preponderance of women, and I think that may be more your interest. She was very diplomatic and very insightful. So
You know, you can only add something like that. Let me tell you. I do want to read something. There's a couple here that I really got to share with you. And my friend and classmate Bill Clay is here. We played on a few nice basketball teams in our day. That's my uniform, by the way, Bill. Number 5.
It would look better with
Just so you
shoe
know.
after the 5.
Does it fit?
But it doesn't fit anymore. Oh no. Oh, that shrank.
Yeah, right, that's right, yeah.
So there was one here that was sent by a basketball player that happened to be on the glee club. Now Bill was too. He obviously had a good voice. And I want to read the one from Priscilla's brother. So here it is. He sent this in on email. It's really cool. Oddly, my reflection of Mrs. Ashley begins with a fellow classmate, Tom Clay. Tom was the captain of the OA basketball team in 1967, on which I played and somewhat of a mentor to many of us. Tom convinced most of the team and several other male students to join the glee club, which Mrs. Ashley taught, because it would look good on our college applications. Smart guy. Well, the first meeting of the glee club that year saw more male voices than Mrs. Ashley probably ever had in any glee club that she ever had. To say she was elated would be a vast understatement. She was over the moon. And the savvy teacher that she was, she made sure that in every meeting, she kept us happy. After accomplishing her goals for the session, she always, and I mean always, had us sing Oklahoma to the class. Sean, were you in the glee club? Were you in that glee club?
I was. I have comments to make on Friends.
Oh, you're next. You are absolutely next. This is great. She was so confident and instilled so much confidence in us that we put on the musical Guys and Dolls, which had many male parts. Sean Fitzgerald, Rick Tino, and I opened the show with a round of I Got the Horse Right Here, which you're going to sing for us later on.
I hope so.
We sold out the auditorium 2 nights. It was magical. The show drew some attention. Before you know it, we had articles written about the basketball team in the sports sections of the Brockton Enterprise in one of the Boston papers. The opposing fans would call us the choir boys. And then we would go whoop 'em.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of blackboard material, wasn't it? Probably. We also had Bill Dexter and Paul Anderson in the club and on the team. They were the 2 of the highest rated trumpet players in the state at that time, and I remember that. After Guys and Dolls, 6 or 7 of us enjoyed singing so much that we met one evening a week at the Ames Memorial Hall and were taught the rudiments of barbershop quartet singing. probably taught by
Yeah.
Mr. Clay.
Not by him, but some.
Not by him.
But
Right.
organized by him.
Oh, organized by him. The great barbershop quartet when Mr. Clay was in. He sang on Easton for many, many years. I wish I could remember the name of the gentleman who taught us, but age has a way of altering the memory. My Mrs. Ashley story doesn't end at OAHS. I taught middle school. This is Fred speaking now. I taught middle school for 40 years in a small town in Maine, not far from Bangor and Bar Harbor. And getting to know our new music teachers at Bucksport Middle and High School. I reflected on my Glee Club experience and happened to mention Mrs. Ashley. You don't mean Mrs. Ashley, they asked. They had Mrs. Ashley as a professor at the University of Massachusetts at Lowell. We were stunned. I wish I could attend this wonderful tribute, Fred says, to an incredible teacher and human being. We winter in Florida and don't head north until May. Mrs. Ruth Coleman Ashley legacy will live on in all of us who she inspired and generations to come through her former students. Thank you, Mrs. Ashley. I still love to sing. Fred Almquist. That was like...
All right, Fred, yeah.
Thank you, Fred. I hope Fred gets a copy of this. That is like an incredible one. And I think that would touch a lot of people here. Sean, would you like to come down and talk? You can stand there and talk too. It's up to you. Come on down. Come on down. Sean Fitzgerald, class of 1967.
I didn't expect to be at the podium, but
You're here.
yeah, and class of '67, I think, was just the very best class that could possibly be. We've had class reunions every 5 years for 55 years, and a lot of people show up. Interestingly, in the room today, there's 2 people from my older brother's class, 2 people from my sister's class, 2 people from my younger brother's class, and we all enjoyed the same things, the same teachers. Ginny, the reason you only had 3, I think, what were they called?
Musicals.
Yeah, musicals, is because when we were in class, there was the musicals one year and the gymnastic jamboree, the gym jams, the other year. But I told you that I'm going to talk about Fred's memory because he got most of the facts right. But the real truth of the basketball team playing is because of Tommy Clay, or in particular his father Lou Clay. Mr. Clay told Tommy that he couldn't play basketball unless he joined the band or the Glee Club. So all but one of the starters has already been mentioned today. But Paul DeCudo and Tommy Clay and Mike McGuire, who had polio for his whole life, practically, walking to school, and Tommy said, Dad says I can't play basketball unless I join the band or the Glee Club. And Coots said, Paul DeCudo, we'll all join.
Oh, okay,
And
wow,
that's how it happened
Okay.
originally.
good.
And Mrs. Ashley was, as Fred said, thrilled beyond belief. She wanted male voices so that she could do Guys and Dolls. They had to change the names of some of the events in the Guys and Dolls. Not socially acceptable, then or today. And the song we sang was called The Feud for Tin Horns. I'm not going to sing my part. And the thing about Oklahoma, it wasn't that she insisted that we sing Oklahoma. It was that we insisted that we sing Oklahoma. We refused to sing some of the songs until she let us sing Oklahoma. And so there's chicks and ducks and geese better scurry when they take you out in the Surrey, when they take you out in the Surrey with the fringe on top. And there was a round where the last few words were, and your eyes would pop. And in the musical, the professional musical back then, your eyes would pop.
Oh, yeah.
And so all the male voices would gradually fade away, getting their fingers ready for the part. And I'm not a good tennis player, but I'm a way better tennis player today than I would have been without Mrs. Ashley. She was a great teacher. We were surrounded by great teachers. And it was a great time to grow up in a great town. So my apologies to your brother, but I'll do that on the phone. We talk a couple times a month. If he's got something to say, it's a couple times a week for a couple hours. But he's a great writer. He really enjoyed being a school teacher for 45 years in Bucksport, and he loves this town. Loves all the people that we grew up with. And glad to see you. Oh, by the way, 3 kids in your class, right?
Yeah.
Good catch.
All right. I'm sure there's a couple more here. Would anybody like to have a memory? Bill Clay.
Just to stay on the plays for a while and stuff like this. The Clay family, we immigrated to Easton in 1963 from Brockton. So it was different coming over here. So one of the 3 people who was in the Glee Club was my brother Steve. So he was actually, in Kenny's grade and stuff. And one of the things they did was a Bye Bye Birdie. And his scene that, if you knew my brother Steve, he was not a drinker and stuff like that, but he would pretend he was drunk on stage. And Mrs. Ashley taught him how to be drunk. So it was great. But the other thing she did about Guys and Dolls that made Guys and Dolls so special, which you don't mention, is the fact that it wasn't just they were a basketball team, but they were the Eastern Mass State champions. So this season went longer and stuff like that. So they had to coordinate practices for the state championship basketball and Guys and Dolls. And Mrs. Ashley and Mr. Moscato worked really well together so they could do both. And that was just collaboration, which was fantastic. And the best part was that even not just the 5 starting players were in the play, but even Moscato had a part. And if you remember Mr. Moscato, he was at the end of his career. He wasn't, at one point he had a record in Boston Garden for a running record, which you would never believe, but he held it for like 18 to 20 years. And by the end of his coaching career, he gained a little weight, lost a little hair. But anyway, and part of Guys and Dolls, it is about the temperance time and stuff like this. And he's carrying a sign down there about not being able to drink and stuff like that. He just walked down the middle aisle, and of course everybody saw him and they just cheered for him and stuff. But again, Mrs. Ashley and Mr. Moscato working together to make everything work was just fantastic. So that was awesome.
Somebody's got some comments.
I just have one last thing.
Yeah.
In the Mikado, she taught us all Japanese. And one of the things is the ending of the Mikado. And I still remember it. Mia Samba, Ano Mono, Mayane, Pira Pira, Suanura, Nayan Gaya Na.
Good memory.
Who said he's losing his memory? That's excellent. Wow. Well, we have actually, today we did have some music from Pinafore. I think we had some music, didn't we?
Yeah, we had Mikado.
We have Mikado. Who was in Pinafore? Does that ring a bell? Do you remember when you went to high school?
I can't, but I was one of the sisters and cousins and aunts in the back row who didn't sing. So I just remember the highlights.
I'm just kidding. All right, so I got it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, beautiful.
I want just to remember that Ruth and Louie Ashley were our very, very good friends, and we enjoyed each other. They came to our house, we came to theirs, and we always talked about Easton because I came from Somerville and I didn't like the town of Easton because it was too small. It wasn't the city. But, and Louis and Ruth would come to our house and we'd talk about that, having this little town. And, but over the years, we got to go to so many different things, from the high school, the music programs that Ruth always did so well at. And so after a while, we got to know that it was wonderful to have a program like Ruth Ashley had, because I didn't think that would be happening when I moved to Easton. But it was just wonderful, because whenever she and Louis would come to the house, I would say, oh, that program that they had was wonderful. And it was just they were just wonderful people, and she was just a wonderful musician and teacher, and it was just, she was so much a part of my life and my husband's, and I'm just so happy to be here and think of her the way she was, and her husband as well, Louis. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I'm 92.
You got applause for that. And your name?
Audrey Davies.
Pardon me?
Audrey Davies.
Audrey Davies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wonderful.
I came in 1964, and I'm now 92.
And where do you live in Easton? Well, you don't have to say.
Yeah.
You're on TV. You're on TV. No, but you are in Easton right now. What?
What was
You
that?
live in Easton right now.
Oh, yes, since 1964.
Wow.
Actually,
That's awesome.
and I came from Somerville, you know.
We won't hold that against you. We're not holding that against you. As long as you love us now, that's
It took me
okay.
a long time to get to love Easton.
Like last year, maybe, something like that.
Audrey, I came in 1960 from Roxbury, so you can imagine how long it took me.
What was that?
I said I came in 1960 from Roxbury, and it took me a long time.
Okay, yeah.
So I can relate.
Yes, yeah.
We've been trying to kick him out.
Still trying to be accepted.
All right. So that concludes the Ruth Ashley, but I have a couple of very, very important reminders. So we've got an awful lot of good things happening again for April. So our April 6th, you'll see communication on this if you haven't already. And April 6th, pretty sure it's a Sunday.
It is a Sunday.
From 2 to 4 at the Oaks Ames Memorial Hall, there's going to be, from 2 to 4, there's a new book that's been put out about H.H. Richardson. And the author, they're going to be there.
Yeah, it's going to be a symposium, basically based on the book. The book was sponsored by, the authors, several other individuals, and the Ames family. So there'll be a question and answer, description of the book, description of the Richardson buildings here in Easton, and
A book signing?
I was about to say that there's going to be a book signing as well. So there'll be books there if anyone wants to purchase them.
Excellent, okay. That's one thing. So, now here's an important one. And see Mr. Anderson, right? See, Steve Anderson, can you raise your hand back there? On April 9th, which is a Wednesday, from 6 to 8, we're again having, I think it's officially the 26th Chowder and Chatter, which is a wonderful evening from 6 to 8. It will be at the Residences at Five Corners. It's wonderful. We had it last year. It's a beautiful complex up there. That's where Ken is going to be retiring to this year, I think. If I'm not mistaken. Tomorrow. They're looking for you, though. They took your name last time you were there.
Yes.
But There's a limited seating. So if you would like to go, it is free for members, and you can take a guess. A member can take a guess. We have a sign-up sheet with Steve. So please, if you're a member, you want to go take somebody with you, please sign up because we have a hard count of 50. All right, so it's a wonderful night. They cook really, really well. Besides the talk that's going to be there, they do corn chowder, clam chowder, corn muffins, beautiful salad. They had cookies, refreshments there. It's a wonderful place, and they put it on for us. Wonderful. We have a nice collaboration with them. And Ken and I will be going back that next week to do a little history talk for their prospective clients the following week. So Woody, if I see you there, I know you're a prospective client.
Yeah, I'm gonna drive Kenny up after this meeting here.
Our next open house will be Sunday, April 13th, okay? And that will be really about the shot heard round the world. It's 250th anniversary of Lexington and Concord. Don't forget Menotomy, which was Arlington. They had to go back and forth through there. The DAR with Ken and Diane Sterling. And if you, after this, go in the other room. They've already set up their 4 exhibits already with a lot of the Revolutionary War things and about the DAR. We're going to be a lot about the DAR. Brother Rick brought some wonderful, wonderful prints of some famous paintings, Lexington, Concord on the exhibit to the left. So please remember that one on the 13th. And that is, by the way, that's a Deborah Sampson chapter of the DAR. Now Ken was telling me, and I just did a deep dive on looking her up today, and Deborah Sampson, anybody know anything about Deborah Sampson in the chapter?
Isn't she the woman, the first woman that fought him?
Yeah,
There's a memorial to her in Sharon.
in Sharon, exactly right. She actually was part of a militia. 17 months she fought with the militia before, when she got sick, and they found out she was a female. All right, 17 months, this lady, what a tough lady, what a brave lady, brave person anyway. But that's the chapter that's sponsoring this, and they will have a lot of things what the daughters of the American Revolution did. So go ahead.
Yeah, isn't Diane Sterling a descendant of Deborah?
I don't know. I don't think
is.
so. She's a descendant of the Perrys. Captain Perry of Easton, who did Cannonball and Cannon at the Perry Foundry at the Old Pond in South. She's part of the Perry family. So I'm not sure about Deborah Sampson. And she is buried right in Sharon. Yeah. So sign up with Steve. That's going to be a wonderful night. I thank you all for coming today. It's been wonderful. We love having everybody here, and some of your engagement is even more important to me. So look around. We've got a lot of new exhibits here, but especially check out the ones that they're setting up, and pretty much all set up for the next open house. Okay, thank you very much. Please look around. It's up there. Thanks for coming.